Welcome to the 5th episode of the Brunner interviews.
Today we are interviewing Gerry Bartley.
Gerry Bartley is a past pupil of the school and is now in the board of management.
He is a really cool and interesting man. He tells us everything about his life.
We hope you like this episode. Hello, today on the Brunner interviews we are interviewing Gerry Bartley. Gerry is a past pupil of the school and is a current member of the board of management. Today Gerry has kindly agreed to answer some of our fantastic questions.
Hi Gerry, my name is Nathan.
And my name is Gavin.
What's the story?
Well, I'm delighted to be here, number one. I'm delighted with the welcome I got. I'm 86 years of age and 2 months. I'd never let the 2 months go because of my grandchildren. When I say how old are you, they say 6 1/4. They'd never say 6. They always added on a bit of a quarter. So I'm 86 and 2 months in age. And then I came to the school way back in 1937. So if you're good at maths, you can see how many years ago that is.
Yeah.
You could make it out to be. At 7 years of age I came.
7. So you were born in 1930?
Exactly.
Oh.
So there you are. Now, will I keep going? Or are you going to ask me any more?
We're just going to ask you the first question.
Yeah.
Okay. My teacher says that you attended school when you were a boy. Has it changed much? Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like when you were a kid here?
Yeah, I sure can. When I was here, this school that we're sitting in now was just a 2-story building. It's only 2 stories.
Yeah. Very small.
There was no inside toilets.
Was it outside?
All the toilets were outside and they weren't pretty, I can assure you, at the time. Because of the war years which came shortly after I would come here, there was very little heating in the school, and anyone that could would bring in some turf from their home, but that would be very little because everything was rationed. Everything was rationed at those times. But some people had the turf because their dads had bogs or something down the country, used to go down weekends.
So would you light fires in school?
I beg your pardon?
Would you light fires in school?
Oh, not at all. No, there was no fires and there was no heat. You just come in with warm clothes, and that now it would be very difficult for the pupils today to realise at that time people were very, very poor. And some of the children that were in school wouldn't have as good a clothes as other children.
Yeah.
And they certainly wouldn't have an inside vest and things like that. So there was a tremendous class difference in the poor, really poor children of the area, and the not so poor. When I say not so poor, everybody was poor. There was no rich people at the time, and that's it.
Were you poor at the time?
I was poor in that my dad was an electrician.
Yeah.
He had 9 children, so he was the only one working. So you can imagine one man supporting a wife and 9 children. So no, there was no money to spare at all. There was no such thing as, as niceties. If you were lucky enough to have a brilliant mother, which I was, she was a terrific cook, she was a terrific sewer, she could knit, she did everything, and she started work every morning at home at about 6 a.m. and she probably didn't finish till midnight.
Yeah, she would have been working for
the reason I was better than some of the others was because of my mother. It wasn't that we'd any more money. I just had a mother that was very good with her hands. She was a country woman. And she was brilliant, so she was. At cooking, everything. She was fantastic.
In the schoolyard we play games such as football, chasing and
well, they were terribly strict actually at that time because to be quite honest with you now, I don't think we were really allowed to play football. We were allowed to play chasing up to a degree. But if there was any shenanigans at all, the head and the brothers would be out, and it was mostly Christian brothers then. Half the school was Christian brothers and the other half were lay teachers. I always happened to be in a Christian brothers class right through here. And they were very, very strict. We were really strict on time, strict on most things.
So did you only play chasing?
Mostly chasing. Now that we were all, because we were Brunner, we were associated with Owen Rowe, the hurling and football team, the GAA team, that's now part of Plunkett's, isn't it? Plunkett's Owen Rowe, or whatever they are now. But at that time they were Owen Rowe, and most of the lads in the school that were really interested in Gaelic or hurling, they would end up playing for Owen Rowe, you know. But again, at that time, the teams like Owen Rowe, they didn't cater an awful lot for very young people. They catered just for lads that could go out and win matches that kind of day.
Like strength.
When we get in trouble in school, we have to stand at the wall, or we might get extra homework or behavioural treat. What kind of punishment did you get when you were?
What number is that?
3.
Number 3, yeah. Oh yeah. Unlike today, each teacher and brother had a leather strap, about 14 inches long, with that length, and it would be as thick as your finger, you know, with 2 or 3 pieces of leather. And this is no joke, this was every one of them, it wasn't just another one. And boy, did you get whipped with that. If you were caught doing anything, you were slapped, and the hand would nearly fall off you on a cold day to get a belt of this leather. Now, that was kind of playing by the rules. Now, some of them would go a little overboard and give you a clip on the ear or pull at your hair, things like that. They were really tough.
Did you ever get hit with the belt?
No, I think I was terrible looking at the time. I always said yes, I suppose. I agreed with both things, that I was kind of a coward in that way. That I didn't suffer an awful lot in that way at all.
So you didn't get in trouble?
Very little, very little trouble. I can't ever. Once I remember there was I did something. I was accused of doing so. I wouldn't be even sure that I really did it. I wasn't a goody. I don't mean it that way. But the teacher that was teaching me, he was that disgusted with me. He sent me up to the head teacher, and that was it. Like, we were at the head teacher. There was a turnout, and there was 2 classes in the one room. There were huge big rooms. So I went up to him and I told him that so-and-so sent me up. So he kept behind the board there. So he took out his strap, as usual. But instead of hitting me, he hit the board twice. And he said, now put your hands on. And I had to go back. The teacher was delighted after getting walloped. But I hadn't been walloped at all. It was only the blackboard that walloped. So that's the kind of life I led. I was terrible looking.
So you must have been very lucky.
We're lucky that doesn't happen to us.
You would get extra homework, there's no question about that.
We hate getting extra homework.
But most of the, unfortunately at that time, a lot of the trouble would be getting the physical trouble, you know, to get back. And then some of the teachers went beyond that. Some of them had a cane that they'd get you in the back of the legs with the cane. It was horrible now. There's no 2 ways about it. And fortunately,
you only have to stand at a wall out there or just do extra homework. That's almost it.
I can't remember that, and because I tell you why now, that wouldn't have been kind of part of the thing. At that time, the classes would be huge. Like in a room like this, every seat would be packed. There'd be no lovely spaces or that. There'd be 40 to 5 people maybe, at least, in one class. There were fierce, times in that way. It must have been terrible for the teachers to try and teach that amount of children at the same time. Especially if you have, as you will in every class, you get the bright people and then the ordinary people and then the people that are not so bright. And they're still going along in the class, and the teachers felt responsible for them. Must say, in one way, they were always really doing their best to try and produce the children that they had always up to the next grade. And then if you were, if you did your primary, to go into secondary school then, it was a kind of a slightly different in it because most of the fellas would be getting big and a teacher would be foolish maybe to try it on with a big fella, to hit him or that, he might get a box back. But no, no matter what they did, I don't know how they did it, to be honest with you, to do the work that they did under the conditions that they had. They were horrible.
So there weren't so many classes, but they were big.
Pardon?
There weren't loads of classes, but there were like a few.
There's loads of students, but there wasn't that many classes. Yeah. And then, as I say, this is only a 2-story building.
Yeah.
There was no connection with that school there, like there is now with that, and especially with the 3rd story on. Yeah. And then the far side, then that was the yard for the secondary school boys was in that. There was no school hall at the time either. All those things came much later. In fact, they came much later. Like they came in the 50s. Around the 50s, the whole year or something.
Did you like school as a kid?
No, not particularly, no.
I don't think anybody would.
I didn't. I went because I had to go.
Yeah.
That's it. I had no great choice in it, but I went, and then when I went into secondary school, and I did first year, and then I did I did first year, and went down on a holiday down to Galway with the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And it rained for the fortnight, and we were out in tents, and nearly every one of us got very sick, and I got what was known as rheumatic fever. So I was out of school for about maybe 7 or 8 weeks when I came back from the thing. And when I came into secondary school then, I hated it because I'd never learned any Latin, needless to know, in this school. And then when I came back, all the guys were talking Latin, or they knew.
And you didn't know what they were saying?
I hadn't got a clue, and I hadn't the ability to be able to do what was to be done during the day, and then to pick up on the others and stuff as well. So that set me back a lot. And I only did 2 years in secondary school, and I did an exam down in Bolton Street College to go and to be a bookbinder.
Yeah.
And I got the exam, and I went on at 16 years of age to become a bookbinder, and that's what I did for the rest of my working life. I worked as a bookbinder.
Yeah. No. 4, 5.
My favourite subject was maths. I love maths. Yeah. I love maths, especially when I was in the primary school. I really loved maths. I would have been about maybe 2nd or 3rd in class always. And I don't know, I might have got first once or twice. But I love maths altogether.
I don't really like maths that much.
Yeah. So that was probably my favourite subject.
My favourite is PE. What's yours?
Probably PE as well.
Yeah.
I just like playing sports.
That's great, yeah. And you mentioned about sports. There was very little facility now for sports as well, because there was no motor cars.
Yeah.
And not only were the people too poor to have motor cars, but if they had money, they still couldn't get a motor because there was no motor cars in Ireland from 1939 until about 1947. So most of us, the kids my age, we grew up in an era when there was no motor cars on the road. The only ones that would be allowed a motor car would be a doctor maybe. They were, but the rest of the people had there was no supply of petrol.
So you had to
couldn't get petrol. Even the people that were rich enough to own a car pre-war, they had just to put their cars in the garage and put them up on blocks to wait until the war was over. And all those years,
So did everybody have to walk?
Pardon?
Did everybody have to walk?
Well, you got the bus, but the buses were horrible then as well. Again, it was nothing got to do with the buses being horrible. It was just
too many people.
The country, we had no money. There was no money in Ireland at the time. You couldn't. Well, I give you an idea. that the wages in Ireland from 1931 until 1939, that's 8 full years. From 1931 until 1939, the wages rose by 1 shilling in the 8 years. So what you had in 1932, you had in 1939, all bar 1 shilling of a difference. So there was no money in it. There was very little money in the country for anybody. And if you had money that you could deal, get stuff that you shouldn't have got, you'd pay dearly for it, including even a cup of tea. Tea was rationed. Everything was rationed. You got a ration book, and if you wanted to buy a shirt, you had to give coupons with the shirt as well as the money. And then you might get 1 shirt or 2 shirts out. Things were very tough then. But they weren't that tough on us in the sense because we hadn't got the money anyway. So we were kind of lucky in that sense, that it wasn't a terrible torture on us because we were all poor at the time. So the fact that the war came didn't mean an awful lot anyway to us.
Because the war wasn't in Ireland?
Pardon?
Because the war wasn't in Ireland?
Yeah, well, the war was on and there was no imports into the country at all of things, necessities.
So you had to have everything that was already here?
You had to have everything. And that included now medical things as well, because I remember one time that I had a thing on my neck, some sort of a boil, and I went to the chemist. This would be now in the 1949 at the time, so I'd be 19 years of age, and I went to the chemist to get a prescription, and the chemist said to me I was terrible lucky, and I didn't know how I could be terrible lucky with this thing on the back of my neck. And he turned himself around and he showed me, because it happened during the war, he got one, and there was no medication that he could take to sort it out, and as a result he had to have surgery and his whole neck was cut across. And he was a chemist, So, that's how bad things were.
That must be very bad.
So they were the best times.
I would like to be a footballer.
And I would like to be a boxer.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Believe it or not, I'd love to be a jockey.
A jockey?
A jockey, yeah. I was mad about horses. But I'm glad I didn't. Getting to 12 stone, imagine the poor horse if I was on it. No, I didn't follow that up at all, because as I say, I went on to be a bookbinder, and then but what I did do was, when I could afford it, I used to go riding. I'd hire out a horse and go off.
Did you have your own horse?
I never had my own horse. And I wouldn't have had the money. But even if I had the money, I'd have had no place to keep him. Because all houses in Dublin, where would you keep a horse? So
They're very small.
I never had that. But I like that. I love to do that. And then I have 3 sons, and my youngest son, who's in his 50s now, he started off at this size, and he's still riding. He kept it up. He's still doing it.
Do you still watch? Do you watch?
I do. I love it. Yeah. I never missed the Agrican Cup, for example, in the RDS. And there's a place down in Mill Street in Cork, and there's a huge big horse show there every year, as well as the RDS. And we used to go down there every year to Mill Street, to Dublin's.
Do you still go?
I haven't been there now for a few years, only because of my age, because,
I only usually watch it once a year because I only watch the Grand National.
Well, yeah, I don't back horses, never backed horses, but I love watching the racing. I love Aidan O'Brien. I love seeing his horses run. I think it's brilliant to see. I love brilliant horses flying along and winning all the trophies and all the money, of course, as well. So that was it. No, I had no great interest. I was too small, as I tell you. I would have suited a jockey at the time, but I wouldn't have had the strength now for the hurling or the football at all. I did that. And plus the fact when I was young, I was an asthmatic as a child, and I would be excused from the sporting end of it. I was on a Thursday, we used to go to the Phoenix Park. I never went. I just didn't like it, and it didn't like me, to be out. And so I was lucky that way, didn't I? Because there was no, up in the park, there was no things, dressing rooms and cars to take you up in lashing rain. You'd have to strip off and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really tough,
We
You don't know how lucky you are. So,
Because we usually get swimming, football.
Pardon?
We usually get swimming on Fridays, football matches on a Thursday in the yard.
And we get rugby on Wednesday.
And we get a mini football league.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Well, what I did love during my life was swimming. In fact, I swim nearly every day of the year in the sea. I like to swim in the sea, but now I haven't swam now for about over nearly two months, since the first week in October. It's the last time I swam because I got a bit sick and I was ruled out for the swimming. I was told not to swim anymore for a while. So I'll have to wait now till the start of the year before I do it again. But I love swimming. I love to go in. When I say swim, it's more of a dip. At this weather. When you get in, you don't feel the cold. It's when you come out you feel the cold.
Oh yeah, that happens to me.
So, I wasn't that particularly interested in the football or the hurling, other than I went to Croke Park nearly every Sunday to see the games. It didn't matter who was playing. It was a shilling game, and you got a great afternoon, sport down there. Most Sundays we went to Croke Park.
What is the most amazing, coolest thing you've ever done in your whole entire life? Number 7.
Get married.
Yeah.
Have you always
That's the
wanted
most
to?
amazing thing I did.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. I met a beautiful girl, and we got married, and we 3 lovely children, and we still have them. And as a result, I have 5 lovely grandchildren. So I'm mad about them as well. But that would have been the thing.
Yeah. Are they great fun?
All the other things I took, just with a grain of salt, as the saying goes.
Are they great fun?
Yeah, they're great fun. And when I say we were all poor, we were poor maybe in money, but I was ever rich in friends. I had beautiful friends all my life and still have. There's nothing more important than to have friends. And, and
They keep
it's
you
the
happy.
richest thing, it's the most precious thing you can have, are friends.
Yeah. What job did you have when you finished school?
I went to be a bookbinder.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I loved every day of it, yeah. I went to work, and then I went to technical school at night as well for years down to Bolton Street. And I loved what I did. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Miss Coughlin said you were in your 80s. You are a very fit-looking man for someone in their 80s. I hope I'm as fit as you at that age. What is your secret to being so fit and healthy?
Well, it's the fact that I do go for a swim every day, as far as possible.
You do a lot of sports.
And I love it. And my wife and I, we usually make sure we try and have a walk every day as well.
Yeah.
Now, we're fortunate that we have a little house down in Wexford, so we can go down there as well. And it's a lovely place for us to do walking, and we're right beside the sea as well. So we can go down there for quite a while, during the summertime especially. But to go down to the winter to make sure the house is okay and so on. Hope to be down the next week or two and just to check out the house. But as I say, I was an asthmatic as a kid. I lost the asthma at 14 over in Galway when I got this terrible illness. When I finished with the illness that I got, the asthma was gone, and I haven't had it since, thank God.
Last question. Now, it's...
Are you looking forward to Christmas? Are you getting anything nice from Santa Claus?
I don't
Probably
probably get it from Santa Claus. But no, I look forward to Christmas because of my grandchildren.
Yeah,
You know,
so they can
and,
get stuff.
you know, my youngest grandchild is 13,
Yeah.
and he's the same birthday as myself.
Oh.
My birthday is the 21st of September. His birthday is the 21st of September. Under 73 years of a difference.
Oh,
You know, I was 73 when he was born.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Last question. What piece of advice would you give to us boys in school who are starting off life and our studies? It's on the,
on the next page.
Yep.
Skipped a few because we don't have time.
Yeah, the thing that I would think for any child,
Yeah.
boy or girl, is if you have nice friends, keep them. There's nothing more as valuable as a nice friend, a good friend. They're not, they don't want you for what you have or anything like that. They just want you because you're you. And if you can do the same with them, you go through life sailing. And most, again, young people like yourselves, you have such a great time. And there are terrible problems as well, you know, naturally. There's problems and there's great times. But like for yourselves now, you have so many good things going for you. It's easy for you. Most of the children now are far better educated than ever your counterparts were back in the 30s. You know, for loads of reasons. That's understandable. For loads of reasons that way. And then, as well as that, your parents all probably went to school, all did their leaving and so on, where my parents didn't do that.
Oh.
And any parents would afford, very few of them would have done that, because it was a question of all the families were huge, and as soon as you became of age, the thing was to get out and work and earn money.
Yeah.
But to do it, I was blessed that I earned money doing what I loved doing. I was a bookbinder. I loved doing bookbinding. I got a pleasure every day. Loved going to
Did you
work.
get
I
paid?
never missed work.
Did you get paid like well?
But I paid well.
Yeah.
I was. Eventually, I was. I ended up a director of the company that I worked for.
Oh.
And I was really well looked after in that. I had a company car and all that sort of thing. But I worked real hard during my life. And I don't mean it to boast. I earned what I got, but I was terribly lucky to get what I earned. You know, a lot of people earn it but don't get it. But I was terribly lucky.
Yeah. Thanks for answering our question. We really appreciate it.
And I'm delighted to be here. So thanks very much to all the school and to all the teachers in the school, because they all look after you as if you were just their children. There's none of the children, I've never met a teacher since I came on the boards of management that didn't treat the children as if they were their own. You know, and that would mean to God, listen, what do you think you're doing? You know, just because people say something like that doesn't mean that they don't like you at that time. They might like what you're doing, but they always like you. And you should always remember that and try and pass that round to all your pals. Stick with it, okay?
Yeah.
Delighted, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for answering our
God bless
questions.
you. All the best, love.
Bye.
Bye.